Well, let's stop school shootings. We'll start there. Let's stop mall shootings. We'll start there. I'd like to see the perimeter of every school in America surrounded, secured by retired police, which you are, retired Secret Service, which you are, military. And I want guys to donate 15 hours. I think we could cover every school, every hour, every day, add a metal detector, and I think we're going to have safer schools. Have one armed guard on every floor of every school, all over every mall, the perimeter and inside every hall of every mall.
So that was Sean Hannity proposing a massive expansion of the police state in order to protect people from gun violence. He did just say, oh, well, military. Not only that, but having people donate their time, ex-police officers, etc., and then the military to guard every single place in America where people are, going to gather or going to congregate. Well, consider the irony here, right? So Sean Hannity says, I'm a small government guy. Stay out of my life, right? He's now calling for a mass expansion of armed guards in malls and schools all over the country. Basically, a police state. Now, that's weird. Now, he's not the only one. Geraldo Rivera, right? A couple of days ago on Twitter, he said this. And first, I'm going to give him a little bit of credit. And he says, we need legislative courage regarding these real weapons of mass destruction. Don't let any politician BS you about why gun controls are impossible to impose. That comes from Geraldo, right? Great. Okay, fine. But then he adds a second part. He says, in the meantime, there must be active shooter trained, heavily armed security personnel every place innocents are gathered. So their plan in the immediate interim is let's put people with guns everywhere to stop other people with guns. Now, why am I critical of this? I mean, I think, wait a minute, armed guards, man. Look, armed guards in the malls, armed guards here. We need it. I mean, we need it to protect our families. And I can understand the impulse in thinking, well, don't worry, those armed guards are going to help out. They're going to be able to stop a shooter. But in reality, here's the problem, right? Okay, so for one, more guns doesn't solve the problem, right? And that was their original plan, is just arm everybody, right? You arm everybody, you have an open carry state, you have loose gun laws like you do in Texas. Well, then that's going to discourage shooters. Well, that didn't discourage the shooter in El Paso. There were people with guns in that Walmart everywhere. They didn't do anything. Heck, they didn't have a chance to do anything. Now, when it came to Dayton, this is where it kind of really destroys Hannity's argument, right? Now, there were police officers that were doing a routine patrol in the mall, right? Now, they, as soon as the shooting started to happen in Dayton, right? It took 20 seconds, only 20 seconds, for police to respond and, shoot and fatally shoot the shooter. 20 seconds. But in that small amount of time, he managed to still kill 9 people and wound many more. That's with armed police there. So even in that small amount of time, there was still so much damage that was done. So having more cops or more police or military presence everywhere you go, or at least people with guns everywhere. And the other argument, of course, is how are the actual cops going to know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy if everybody has the guns? It's a ridiculous idea. Now, what's my idea? Well, maybe we should try to keep weapons out of the hands of some of these people in the first place. And I know, of course, what the argument is going to be against that, right? Oh, but people are going to go to alternative weapons. They're going to use pressure cookers and they're going to use knives. Okay, yeah, I get that, right? And yes, there are issues with that. But at the same time, killing 9 people in 20 seconds, you can't really do that with a knife. You would have to be super fast. right? One or two, maybe, right? And a pressure cooker, that also is probably a lot more difficult. I mean, again, because you'd have to have the planning and then put everything together. You can't just go and buy a gun, buy some body armor, which apparently that's what you can do, and a 100-round drum, and walk into a mall and just open fire. It's a lot easier to do that than do the prep work for, creating a whatever improvised explosive, which is what happened in Boston. And so, yeah, you want to technically make it a lot more difficult for people to carry out these mass killings. And it's just a lot more difficult if you don't have access to even a semi-automatic rifle like an AR-15. So maybe we should think about the weapons. But no. We can't touch that. I mean, Hannity. I mean, Geraldo seems maybe a little bit open. And look, let's be honest, background checks, which is, the least that you can call for, it is incredibly popular with the American public. 97% of American citizens support background checks, federal background checks, and closing things like a gun control loophole, making sure that private sellers are required to give a background check before they, go and sell a gun to somebody. So, look, that's something that's popular. That's something probably Geraldo's on board as most Americans are. But Sean Hannity, he won't lift a finger on the NRA or against the NRA or against the gun manufacturers, right? No, instead he wants more people with guns. What do you think this would do? Again, if you say, oh, no, we want armed guards everywhere. Well, those armed guards need to get guns. Where are they going to buy the guns? Well, they're going to buy the guns, obviously, from gun manufacturer. They're going to make money. So more gun sales. That's interesting. The other unintended side effect, or maybe it is an intended side effect, is, look, imagine how much more danger black people are going to be in. Again, we already have an epidemic of people calling the police on black people. People being afraid of black human beings. Well, now you give everybody guns in the mall or in the schools. What do you think that's going to do for black people? Just ask them how more people with guns everywhere is going to turn out for black people. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good at all. Look, it's a terrible idea, both of them. But as usual, they're only open to any plan that doesn't touch the guns, no matter how awful those ideas are, because they are paid by the gun manufacturers.